Hey folks, BKP here with Team FYN Sports, and we're sitting down today with the head coach of the Pickens Dragons, Jeff Nelson. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well.
Let me start out by, let's go here, we're going to get into a little bit of the program and the strength of the program today for this season, but you have been here 6 years, correct?
That's correct.
This will be your 6th year.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
5 years. Now we know, sports fans out there, Dragon fans know, out of the 5 years, defensive coordinator, you worked on the defense of this side of the ball. This team has been building for several years. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the 5 years when you came to the program and the last 5 years to get to that magic 11-1 season we'll talk about in a minute. Talk about those 5 years and how you've seen this program grow.
I think Coach Parker came in, he really took the program down to the middle school level. We started building from there, and those young players, started learning what it was we were doing here at the high school level, and I felt like they were getting more reps, preparing them for when they got to the varsity level with us. So they actually knew the offense, they actually knew the defense when they got up here. And I think it was just a whole culture of working with the young kids and bringing them into the fold, the coaches at that level, and kind of using the same terminology, all that kind of stuff really helped. So when those young kids came up and became your skill players or your linemen for even the freshman team, they already had a kind of a background, a basis for what we did, and that just made it easier on us as coaches. And then this last year, all that came together. You had kids that had played or in some capacity in the system for 5-6 years, from the 7th grade up. And so when they got here as seniors, they were kind of learned. They weren't learning the basics anymore. We were able to reach out and do some things differently last year, I thought. Add two more.
Well, let me say this, from Team FYN Sports, following this program for a long time, I want to concur and go back to that 5 years. So when Coach Parker come in and you came on staff and the staff here, you guys went back into the feeder programs and said, this is who's going to be on this field 5 years from now, and that's how you put the strength of this program together. Is that?
That's correct.
Is
yes.
That what it is? Because
yeah,
I think I
noticed
noticed that.
I think that's a big deal. I think when you get the number one, the coaches feeling like they're not just doing the middle school, but they're actually part of the program. Then they're putting the effort in. They're getting fired up about it, and they're, to me, the backbone of what we do is that coaching staff down there, because they are teaching it for the first time. And even now, we've actually even moved that further back, and we've got the youth program running the same type things. We're using the same terminologies, and so you have a whole community of kids that are learning from 6, 7, 8-year-old all the way up, and you start to see the benefits of that when they get up to the high school level.
Well, I watched last year, and several players on the field that I remember watching at 12 years old at Park and Rec. They're out there part of the 10-0 team.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask this now. Watching the program develop, you feel that's one of the best ways to keep this Pickens Dragons program strong, is to keep that feeder program the same way that these guys are rotating on the high school field, and when they get to you, you're not spending a lot of time on some of the incidentals, and you can go straight to practice?
No, that's right. By the time they get up here, we want them to know the terminology we use.
Right.
Even the drills, a lot of the same drills, and they may be more advanced when they get up here, but they don't walk in cold and have to learn it on the fly. They've already had it. Whatever the drill might be, or whatever the terminology for the offense or the defensive play might be, they've at least got the base plan in, and so we just pick it up and run with it and take it to the next step. So the coaching staffs at the youth levels and up are so important to build that, and I've seen this at other schools, and you just the varsity staff, the high school staff as a whole just benefits tremendously from starting these kids earlier. Plus, I think those kids that are kind of on the bubble about playing, they get in there and get a taste of it, and they enjoy it, and they want to be part of the older group after they've gotten in, and they're wearing the same type uniform, wearing the same color helmet, the little things, and that comes back from as far back as I can remember in Alabama, where the program I grew up in did that. And as kids, we all wanted to play for the high school. We wanted to play for the coach that was there. I mean, to us, he was Bear Bryant. We just thought he was unbelievable.
Well,
and so we all wanted to play for him. So I just thought it kept those kids, excited about football.
As I'm watching football programs, Coach, I got to say, I see the successful programs where your 10, 11, and 12-year-old kids are walking around. They want to be a Dragon. They want to be on that field, and you got to keep that along with everything else. Let me ask you this question here. When a coach is, what I would say, taking over a program, and you're new head coach, first thing you want to do is get the players to buy into what you're running. You know all these guys. There's a lot of things out of the way for you. Now let me ask you this. That goes the same for a coach. New coach comes in. You got to get your coaches to buy in what you want to run.
That's right.
There's the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But tell us a little bit about Dragons head coach Nelson. What are some differences we may see on and off the field with this team? Tell us a little bit about the staff, who's back, who might be new, who's running what, and everybody buying into what you want to run this year.
Well, first off, from the staff standpoint, a lot of our coaches are back. We have a new defensive coordinator and strength coach, and Grant Myers came from Spalding County, a talented young coach, real fire plug, came in here and kind of has the mentality I have, of being very intense, and kind of really pushes that over to the kids. They see it and it gets them excited. He's a guy who's intense on the field, off the field, in the weight room, and the kids kind of feed off of that, and they're starting to kind of buy into what he wants to do. I think as a strength coach myself, I think it's one of the tougher things I've had to do is kind of relinquish that and let him. It's got to be his, so they can buy into what he's doing, and that's been tough because I love it as well. But he's done an outstanding job.
Well, not to interrupt you, but I do like your direction you're going, because sometimes head coaches that come in that from being coordinators, they still want to run that, they still want to run that side. And I guess what I ask, is that one of the steps of being the head coach and relinquishing that to the D coordinators? I mean, obviously you've done that for years with this program, but you are going to step back as head coach. And I guess what I'm saying, you understand where I'm going, Coach?
To pass on the responsibility of the defense over to the defensive coordinator and the strength, and we'll slowly work our way that way. I think anytime you come into a new program as a coach and it's not broken, you've got to kind of get a feel for what they've been doing, and so we'll just slowly pass that on. But he's done an outstanding job and kind of taking the reins and run with it. So defensively, I think we're fine, and excited to have him on board. We got mostly the coaching staff back from what we have. We got Jamie Nelson is the offensive coordinator, and Stephen Hunter is back with us, working with the offense as well. We got Zach Martin working outside linebackers, and Jeremy Sellers is working with us with the D-line. And we got a new coach, Seth Deering, came from Denmark, and he's going to work with our linebackers. And of course, we got Bo Page running our special teams.
So let me say this. I'm hearing all this. So this translates to the locker room. The continuity of this team, basically nothing's changed. And when I say that, because, you know, first of all, every senior that walks out on the field, you and every coach I think you named off, except for a couple guys just came in, you guys have had these since these young men since the day they were freshmen.
Right.
How is that going this year with the team? And let me ask you, let's just go into it a little bit. Talk about 2018 is 2018. Now it's exciting. You won 11-1. It's exciting. You won 10 games and won the region. All that's exciting. How are you taking that and translating it to the job your guys have to do on the field this year?
Well, I think, as I've told the kids before, and we talk about it over and over again, is it does put a kind of the target on your back, so to speak, because everybody is not slipping up on anybody anymore. Everybody expects you to be good, and you got to play, and you got to practice with that intensity and that pride of where you were, and realizing that that's behind us. This is a new year. And we've got to play with the kind of intensity that is going to try to get us back to that region championship again. And that's what we would do every year, and that's what we've done here since I've been here. That's always been the goal, is to move through the region and then get into the playoffs and make noise there. And that doesn't change this year, not because of a new head coach, because that's been the idea that Coach Parker had. And I had when I came here. We've just continued that. So we expect our kids to really push and be on the cutting edge there at the end. That's what we were after.
You got your opening scrimmage game against Stone Mountain on 8/23. Talk a little bit about these first couple non-region games, and then on 9/13, I want you to focus on that. White County is the team that came over, and you guys beat twice last year, or won. I hate to use the word beat. You guys won twice
That's
against
correct.
White County, and I always thought it was more dangerous that you. I thought it was dangerous that you got White County back, because when you get to see a team 2 times in a row, and I think we talked about that last year before we went down on the field. It's kind of more dangerous to see. And but talk a little bit about your preseason. Get up to White County. That will be, I think, your final non-region game. Talk a little bit about some of the teams you're going up against,
Well,
Pepperell and
so
Chambly, I think, again also.
Exactly. Both Stone Mountain and Chambly have new head coaches, so I think we're going to see some spread look from Stone Mountain, and I think Chambly will be more option this year, kind of the old Georgia Tech look. And then Pepperell again is spread and has some pro tendencies, and then I think they've had a few coaching changes over there. Not the head coach, but seems like a D coordinator or offensive coordinator. And then White County, they're just a tough, hard-nosed football team. And like you said, playing them twice was tough. Playing them again, it's going to be tough. They're well coached, have a good quarterback, and so we've got our hands full.
Well, I know Coach. I think it's Coakley.
Mm-hmm.
I think Coach Coakley, obviously, he last year I think was his 3rd year, but like you said, he has got enough rotation in there to where that's a pretty solid region he's in, and they play good football, and you're going to see them again, and that could be a pretty good test going into your region play, because they're 4A7, you're 4A6, so good test. Couple more quick questions, and we'll let you go, and we appreciate your time. I was looking over your seniors. It looked like about 15. I think you graduated about 15 last year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to leave any names out and miss any of these guys, but I'm going to use this is the way I'm going to say it. You had some pretty hard-nosed guys graduate. What I call hard-nosed guys. Hard-nosed on defense. We know the names. We know the guys. Congratulations to them, but this year for you, those guys, those hard-nosed seniors that are out of that slot, you talk about a couple guys that are going to step up, not to leave anybody out, but you got a couple guys, and are you seeing some of those slots with some guys stepping up ready to take over?
Yeah, we got several of the younger kids that are going to have to step up. We lost on defense. We lost a total of 8 kids.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was looking
Yeah,
at.
we lost 8.
That's why I call them hard-nosed guys,
Yeah,
I watched them.
They were tough. This year, I think our leadership will come from the front. Dallas McHale's back. He's just a real solid lineman, and Clayton Holland. Those are our 2 leaders down on the front level. And I think, on any defense or offense for that matter, I think you go where your line takes you. If your line's is struggling, then on offense, then it's kind of tough to get the running backs moving or the quarterback protected. The same on defense. It's hard to get the linebackers downhill if their linemen aren't getting a good push. So we feel like we've got several kids that got a lot of experience back, and then a couple of kids that have worked behind them and kind of in a support role the last couple of years that we're expecting to step up and have to have a good season for us this year. The linebackers are all new, so they're going to be kind of baptized in fire a little bit.
Coach, I know, that's why I didn't want to bring up names. I'm like, wow, I know, yeah, I remember watching those guys night after night. Yes, that's why I said hard-nosed. The linebacker core is new.
Yeah, they're new. We lost both, or 2 of our defensive backs. So we got some holes to fill, but we got some kids we feel like have come a long way this summer. Worked real hard in the weight room and are ready to step up. So
Sometimes when young guys know that they're getting called on to step up, it's more encouraging to them.
yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean?
I think some of the kids have shown up in the weight room that were
Exactly.
kind of hit and miss last year, and because they were feeling like, well, it's not my time. That's the kind of the attitude that as a coach you try to drill out of the kids. It's never your time next year. You need to play as if it's your time this year. And case in point, we had a game last year where we were down 7 kids on the defense by the end of the second quarter, and kids had to step up and play. We're expected to sit over there and watch the game, and play the whole game. So, those things happen, and you try as a coach, especially as a position coach, to get that kid ready and make him understand. And I see these older kids starting to, that didn't play last year, starting to step up and start be here on time, and I'm real excited about that. So it'll be like it was last year. I think last year we were kind of in the same boat. There were a lot of question marks, and the kids bought into what we did, got after it, and I expect no different this year. I expect the kids to get in there and get after it.
You got 2 guys on offense. Again, don't want to leave anybody out. I know you graduated some receivers, some backs, and linemen at just the rotation. But your offense is going to run this year with a senior CJ Striker. How's CJ doing?
He's doing good.
Is he?
Really, he's had a
And
good
you
summer.
do have, I say, one of the best connections in high school football with Snellgrove and Striker. So how is the offensive side of the ball with those 2 guys and the other guys with the running game right now?
They're good. We were at the skill position. We lost several. At the running back position alone, we had some kids behind them that played some meaningful minutes during most of the games. They'll be back this year. And Jared Whitmore, and good running back. We've got Alex, of course. And we have a couple of young receivers stepping up this year. So I think from a skill position, we lost some kids, but we got some young kids that are getting some experience this summer. I think they're going to be ready to go.
We'll probably be able to get back with you before the region starts, but between now and then, Gilmer has a new coach, and obviously not going backwards. The program is looking to make a turn and another direction, and they have a new coach there. That's your first. We know the rivalry is, and it's the first region game. So what do you think, and what are you seeing north of you here about 15 miles that may be different than the Dragons have seen against their biggest rival in years?
Well, I think that anytime there's a switch and you've had falling on tough times, and I think there's a switch in coaches, there's the community and the kids will be excited up there, and they'll be ready to go. And they've been, honestly, they've played us hard every year because it is a rivalry, and so you don't, regardless of the outcome, I thought the kids always played hard, and I don't expect anything different from them this year. They'll get after us, and that coaching staff will have them ready to roll, and so it'll be a good matchup, and it'll be a hard-nosed football game. So,
what is some of your scouting for that 4A Region 6 when it comes to Ridgeland and Northwest Whitfield and Southeast Whitfield and Lafayette, and what is some of your scouting you see through there, some of the teams, and how the region shakes out this year?
well, I think most of the teams up there, like just for example, Heritage, Northwest, were two that were a little down last year, I think, but they've gotten better this year.
Yes.
In the off season. When you get younger kids, you go through those things, especially in the smaller, the rural type schools, where you don't have a lot of kids. The difference between your first team kid, your second team kid may be dramatic, and it may be nothing more than you have a senior and then you have a sophomore. And so that kid's not quite ready, but he may have to play here, whereas in a bigger school, he's got time to play more JV and get ready. And so you look at a team that you played and you say, well, they struggled a little bit last year at times, but that same team could be very good in a year because that kid was a sophomore and he's had a whole year in the weight room or a whole year more experience. And so I think those teams, they're all going to be better. I don't think there's any question about it. They've got, Ridgeland has great skilled kids. Heritage has got a good defense. They're tough, and I understand they've got a decent group of kids back. They've been really talking them up. So I don't think anybody in the region is going to be somebody you look over. I think we're going to have our hands full week in, week out.
I have a lot of respect with keeping the wheels turning on this successful program that you've played a large part in for the last 5 years. We congratulate you as being the head coach. But tell us, what is there differences, Coach Nelson? What do we see? I asked that earlier, but what would you identify as maybe some changes, maybe not in the overall program or whatever, but what's different about the Pickens Dragons team with head coach Nelson?
Well, I think one of the things that I will try to instill and what we've worked on is I'm very intense, and I want that to spill over to the staff and then on to the kids. And what I mean by that is going 11 hats to the football. Everybody wanting to get in on the play. Nobody taking a play off. Something that I've prided myself on as a defensive coach is getting all the kids moving towards the football. Everybody wanting to be in on the play. When you look at the film at the end of the day, did all 11 kids show up in the film, or was somebody back over here taking a play off? I want 11 hats there, no loafs. And that's something that I think is a mark of Pickens High School. I want people to look at it and say, wow, man, these guys will get after you for 4 quarters. And so that's kind of what I've had as my mission as a defensive coach, and what I want to bring to the whole program.
Coach, I've come in here for years, and I watch you over at your desk. You do the work, and I really want to say that. I've watched you for years. You're not a new head coach that I haven't met. I've watched you for years. You do the work. You're printing out. I could come in here, and you got all kinds of sheets printed out. You're doing the work. You're under the tent. We go down there on Friday night. That defense comes off. You got them under the tent. You got them at the screen. You're going to be more on the headset on the sideline. So I guess the big question we want to know, are you a visor guy? Can we get, are you a visor? What do we expect? Are you fancy black slacks? I know I'm in big trouble. Are you black slacks? I'm in trouble. Are you,
I'm a lunch pail guy. I'm going to be exactly what you say. So.
Okay, because, I love that guy. I can't remember his name, but I got a couple visors. Okay? Coach, we appreciate you very much. We thank you for this time. We look forward to Dragons football this fall. RJ Casey will be back on the sideline. I can't wait to get down and watch the team. And, we appreciate you and look forward to the continued success of this Dragon program.
No, I appreciate it.